be able to, again, do healthy options with independent health. This is one of the courses that we're going to share with you today. What we're going to do, we're going to make what we call brochettes. And basically, a brochette is just a technical word to mean a skewer, putting food on a skewer. You would typically hear of a shish kebab, or you would hear, in the Greek, the Slovakis. Those are foods that are put on a skewer, and a brochette is the same thing. It comes from the word broche, which is French for jewelry that would be put on a pin. So it would be, so that's what they call a broche. So we're going to call it, so what happened from there, the idea of French cooking, the creativity. Imagine, I have a piece of jewelry. Hey, let's put it on a pin and put it on my jacket or my shirt, my blouse. Well, the culinary chefs said to themselves, hey, that sounds great. Well, let's take that concept of a skewer or a pin and let's pierce some food onto it and let's now cook it and create some wonderful flavors and a nice technique that can be used in presenting food and just making it simple to cook and easy to use while in the kitchen. So today, we're gonna make chicken brochettes and we're gonna make shrimp brochettes. And we're gonna do two kinds of flavor profiles. With one, I'm gonna do a dry rub. The other one, I'm gonna use a marinade. And the reason why I wanted to use the two different ones is because I wanted to show you how simple it is for you to just go through your kitchen and go through your spice rack or look at what you have in your cooler and then say to yourself, I'm gonna make a marinade. Well, a marinade consists of predominantly two major things. One, a herb, a fresh herb, and the second would be an acid. So when I make my shrimp brochettes, what I'm gonna use is I'm gonna use citrus. I'm gonna use a lemon. I'm gonna zest my lemon, I'm gonna squeeze the lemon, and then I'm going to add my other flavor ingredients, which is gonna be today, fresh dill, and then a little salt and pepper, and some nice garlic with some Dijon mustard. We're gonna incorporate all of those flavors together. We're gonna make our skewer, pop it in the oven, bam, you got dinner for you, ready to go. With the chicken, we're gonna use a dry rub using several spices, and then we're going to skewer the chicken with some button portobello mushrooms. And what we'll do is we'll rub the chicken with the dry rub. Now, real quick, just to talk about that for a second. Dry rubs, the flavor stays on the surface of your product, today chicken. And what happens is when you incorporate the spices with salt, when you actually apply the dry rub to your chicken, over a period of time, you can let it rest for like maybe 20 minutes or so. The salt activates the pulling of moisture, right, from the chicken, because there's moisture in chicken, and the salt is gonna pull the moisture, the water that's in the chicken, it's gonna pull it out. So in the process of osmosis, what's gonna happen is the water is gonna come out of the chicken, and then what's gonna happen is the chicken is going to now absorb the water back because the moisture between the two is gonna be equal. And what's gonna happen is when the water goes back into the chicken, the spices that are on the chicken as well are gonna be pulled into the chicken. So you're gonna have a nice little flavor inside the little skin or the flesh of the chicken. Now with the marinade, the key to that is allowing your marinade to sit for about a half hour to an hour. Now, of course, the time depends on what you're marinating. Shrimp is what we're marinating today, and you don't want to go too long because the acid eventually will cook the shrimp, like with a ceviche or with poke, where poke uses soy sauce and it lets the tuna sit in there and that will cook it. Or with the ceviche, the citrus cooks the fish, the seafood, over a period of time. So you want to stay within the 30-minute to an hour time frame with shrimp. But if it were chicken or beef or pork for a marinade, you'd want to go longer so that the marinade has time to penetrate the flesh and get into the flesh, so it's really building up the flavor profile. So let's get started. Let's begin our process. So what we have here, again, as I said earlier, is all of our mise en place. Why is that important? As you know me, I love to explain the importance of getting organized. Mise en place means things in place. It's a French word. And to make cooking fun at your own house, you want to make sure you have everything ready to go. So that way, as you're going through your recipe and you're adding each ingredient, you don't have to stop and be like, oh, I gotta go to the store. Now we're wasting time. Now it becomes laborious. Now you're no longer having fun cooking, and you eventually just put everything to the side and you order pizza and wings for the night. But we don't want you to do that. What we want you to do is have everything in place so you're ready to rock and roll, so you can make that awesome meal, celebrate with your family and friends, and they can high five you because you're about to make an awesome, awesome dish. So we're gonna begin with the marinade. So what we have is the the Dijon mustard, our garlic, salt and pepper, my citrus, and my fresh herbs. So let's begin with the dill. So we're gonna chop the dill up. We're gonna pull this apart. We're gonna chop our dill up, making sure that we're ready to go, chopping this up just enough. I have the recipe. The recipe will be uploaded as well with this video, so you can follow along or use it later on after you see this demonstration. So we're gonna chop it up real quick. We're gonna wanna make sure we chop it up nice and fine. Why? Because we don't wanna have big pieces of dill when people begin to eat your food. You don't wanna have big pieces of dill. You wanna chop it up nice and fine so that it can be well incorporated into the marinade. All right. Next thing we wanna do is we wanna add our mustard. We're gonna add a little bit of mustard. And this is gonna give us some nice flavor. It's gonna provide a nice little tanginess when you eat the shrimp later on. Next, what we're gonna wanna do is we're gonna add a little bit of our garlic. All right, I'm gonna get some gloves real quick. Want to put some gloves on once we start dealing with this heavy food. We're gonna throw a little garlic in there. Then we're gonna add our citrus. We're gonna add our citrus. And then we're gonna add our salt and pepper. There's our garlic. A little dab will do ya. Salt. Now let's remember what salt does. I always want to make sure I explain to everybody the importance of salt. Salt does two things to food. It reduces the bitterness that's in food, and it elevates the natural sweeteners that are in food. So when you're beginning to taste your food, the salt helps to balance out everything so that it elevates your natural sweeteners, which shrimp has natural sweeteners in it. But anything else that might be bitter, for instance, we're gonna be using a little peppers onto our skewers, onto our brochettes. So the bitterness that's coming from the pepper will be minimized as we have salt in our marinade, which is gonna make all the flavors balance evenly as you enjoy the brochette. All right, so next, like I say, we got our lemon. First thing I wanna do before I squeeze the lemon is I wanna take a little bit of the zest and incorporate it into my marinade. And the reason why I like to do this is because I want to make sure I'm using the value, all the value I can in my marinade. I want to make sure that I'm using up all the lemon I possibly can use. So then I'm going to squeeze my lemon. Boom, now I've used all that I could. Whisk it around with your hand if you like. We're gonna add another lemon. We need a little bit more lemon in this. Nice. That looks awesome. All right, now that we have our marinade, now we're gonna build our skewers, and we're gonna put our skewers on our sheet pan. So, the first skewer, I soak these in water. The reason why I soak these in water, now I'm gonna be baking my brochettes today. However, if I wanted to grill my brochettes, which is a great option because grilling them will add a nice smoky level of flavor to your food, you'll want to make sure that you soak your skewers in water, so that way the water gets on in the wood, so when you're grilling it, the wood won't catch on fire. It will turn dark, but it won't burn up like it would if you just threw a dry stick on the fire. It'd be like, adding fuel to the fire. Now we're gonna add our shrimp, our peppers, and our onion. Now, because I'm a chef, we like to coordinate everything, so we wanna make sure every skewer is the same. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do a shrimp, yellow pepper, red pepper, purple onion. Shrimp, yellow pepper, red pepper, onion. So that way when I'm displaying it for an hors d'oeuvre party or something, it all looks consistent and people will observe the fine detail you paid attention to serving your guests, your family, your friends, and people enjoy that. Remember, people eat with their eyes first. When they look at that and be like, oh wow, that looks awesome. And then they go and grab your brochette that you've taken time to marinate and cook properly, and they go to enjoy it, they'll be like, that's amazing. And that's what I want you to do. So here we go. We're going to skewer the shrimp, the yellow pepper, the red pepper, the purple onion. Look at that, it's already looking gorgeous, eh? Do it again with shrimp, yellow pepper, red pepper, and purple onion. And then we're gonna do another one. So we're gonna take the skewer, we're gonna pierce our shrimp, then we're gonna pierce our pepper, we're gonna pierce the red pepper, and we have our onion. Then we start that process all over again. And we add our yellow pepper, we add our red pepper, and we add our onion. So then what we're gonna do is we wanna marinate them, right? Toss them in our marinade. Now what you can do, here's something that you can do, is you can use a Ziploc bag if you like. Put your brochettes in a Ziploc bag, pour the marinade in there, seal it up, throw it in the refrigerator, walk away for about half hour, 45 minutes, come back, shake it, give it another 5 or 10 minutes if you want, pull it out, and then we're gonna rest it on our, onto our sheet pan, and it will be ready to go. I'm gonna just drizzle a little marinade onto this. So that was very, very simple. So that's one. So we have the shrimp brochette. Next we're gonna do is our chicken. With this, we're gonna now make our spices. We're gonna take our spices and make our dry rub. And again, this is a different concept, just to show you the variety of uses you can make with your brochettes. You can marinate it, you can add dry rub. So with this, we're going to take our brown sugar, nice little sweetener, right, for our dry rub. Then I'm gonna take some cumin spice. Then I'm gonna take some paprika. I added chili powder to mine with this one. The recipe doesn't ask for it, but I got a little creative. I was like, you know what, I'm at it. Then I got harissa spice. Harissa spice is an African spice. It's phenomenal. It's a little spicy. It's made from a unique pepper grown in Africa, and then they make it into a spice, harissa. And then lastly, a little more cayenne. Harissa is spicy, but cayenne is definitely more spicy, so we're not gonna add as much. Just a snippet, just to elevate the heat to our brochette. So that way the sweetness from the brown sugar combined with my spices and the heat from the cayenne and the harissa, that flavor is gonna come through nicely. It's gonna be very subtle. You're gonna taste the subtleness of the heat and the sweetness together. And we also wanna make sure we have what? Our kosher salt, because we know what salt does. A little bit of black pepper. And now we mix everything up. Look at that, fantastic. Look at that nice rub there. That's gorgeous, huh? I'm ready. You ready to eat? Because I'm ready to eat. I can't wait. All right, here we go. Gotta get some gloves again. So we're doing, we're making this rub, as I said earlier. We can rub it and we can let it sit for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 40 minutes. Again, with chicken, you can let it sit a little bit longer. You can use a dry rub on shrimp, but you want to be mindful of the type of spices that you're going to use. We want to be careful, the delicacy of the shrimp flesh. We don't want to overpower, the flavor with a lot of spices and not taste the delicate sweetness that's found in shrimp. That's why I used it for a marinade with dry herb or with a fresh herb of dill. Dill complements that seafood nicely so that I'm still gonna taste the sweetness that's gonna come through the subtleness of the shrimp, but I'm also gonna taste the nice freshness of our dill that we incorporated into our marinade. So same principle applies. I got some diced chicken already. I got my button mushrooms. little trick about button mushrooms when you're gonna skewer them. It's best to soak them in water for a little bit. Even though mushrooms retain a lot of moisture, you wanna soak them in water, and I'm gonna tell you why. The flesh, if you don't soak them in water to loosen it up, when you go to skewer it, it's gonna pop, it's gonna break in half. So you don't want it to break when you skewer it, so soaking it in water gives it the flexibility the flesh needs for the piercing of the skewer so that it stays whole on your skewer and you can enjoy it when you pull it out of the oven to go and eat. So we have that same thing, got the skewer, and again, the methodical process, right? We wanna make sure that we're skewering everything equally, the same way. Before we do that though, let's take our chicken, let's toss it in our spice. So you see what I did? Got my spices, tossed it in I tossed my chicken into the bowl. I got it nice and coated. Oh, they look wonderful. Look at it, look at the coating on that. That looks fantastic. Here I go, I'm gonna do chicken. Then I'm gonna do button. See how it didn't break? I got chicken again. And there you go, one skewer. Again, we're gonna do chicken and keep it systematic. Chicken, mushroom, chicken, mushroom. That way when people observe, now did you see that? That broke. Now that was a good learning lesson, right? So for some reason that didn't wanna stay flexible for me. So, push that on there. Boom. And if it happens, if it does break, listen, you don't have to throw it out. What you'll do is you'll just use the halves. And I'm gonna show you what I'll do. I'll still use it. I'm gonna just take it, and I'm gonna just use the halves. I can still do that, right? You don't wanna waste that mushroom that you paid for. And again, there you go. They all look systematic, right? They all look equal. Got a chicken, mushroom, chicken, mushroom. All right. Now, you have your dry rub here, and I'm gonna add a little olive oil. Add a little olive oil there too for that one. So now you have your chicken and you have your shrimp as your brochettes. You've created two different kinds of flavor profiles. You marinate it. You remember the marinade has to consist of two main things, an acid and a herb. Then with the dry rub, again, you can use any combination of spices. It doesn't matter, whatever you prefer. Some people like it very spicy, some want a little mild, maybe just a little paprika, a little salt and pepper, maybe a little white pepper added to that with chicken, just to give it just a hint of kick to it. Some people may want it really, really flavorful, and they'll combine cumin, chili pepper, harissa, like we did, brown sugar, turmeric, adding also cayenne pepper, and a few other things, just to make it that much more flavorful. The important thing is having salt, because that salt is what helps blend all of those flavors together. And when you do a dry rub, remember the salt is helping to pull the moisture out of your chicken. Then when it reaches that balance of osmosis, that water goes back into the chicken, pulling the spices that you had in your marinade into the flesh of the chicken. And then when you roast it and you bite into it, you're gonna have a nice flavored piece of brochette, a nice chicken or a shrimp brochette. So what we wanna do is we have our oven on at 350 degrees, and we're gonna go ahead and throw these in the oven. All right, so my brochettes are in the oven, ready to come out, and we're ready to serve these bad boys up. Oh yeah, this looks great. These are nice. I can smell them. I can smell the spices that are on the chicken. So what we can do is we can serve these up with a couple of ways. One of the things that I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take some rice that I've cooked, and I'm gonna use a bed of rice, and I'm gonna serve my brochettes on a bed of rice. That's one way. It doesn't have to be that way. I could make a nice garden vegetable salad and then serve the shrimp brochette on top of that, or the chicken brochettes on top of that, so that you can enjoy the protein mixing it in with the salad. You can also take a pita take some shredded lettuce, some diced tomatoes, maybe some fresh olives chopped up, put that into the pita, maybe add a sauce, and then take the chicken brochette, put that in just like a souvlaki, and serve it to your guests. They'll enjoy that. However you want to do it, the brochette is a simple way of preparing something very flavorful and utilize it several different ways in your serving method, however you choose to do it. But what I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna put it on a bed of rice. So, I got my cooked rice here. Nicely cooked. Flavored with a little chicken stock. A little salt and pepper. Just as simple. Then we just take our brochette and we can put it on here, make it look all nice and fancy. Oh, look at this bad boy. And that's my shrimp brochette. Look at this, absolutely phenomenal. How about that? And again, your guests are eating with their eyes. They're saying, that looks amazing. When they taste it, they're gonna be blown away with the flavor profile you combined with the shrimp and the fresh dill and the mustard with that nice little kick that's gonna bring all of those flavors together on a fluffy bed of rice. And you can do the same thing with the chicken brochettes as well. But that's good eating right there, people. I appreciate it. I think independent health, these healthy options, something that is very good for you all. And just again, we just want to show you some simple tips on how to cook in your own home and making fabulous meals for you and your family. You have a great evening, and we'll see you again next time in Steve's Kitchen.